Hey everyone, it's Joe here, Friday the 13th, August 13th, just checking in. And I'm outside because it's a gorgeous summer night. And tonight is, actually last night was the meteor shower, the Perseidus, I don't even know how to pronounce it, Perseidus meteor shower. And I got to see some. I saw shooting stars last night. It's so inky black out here. But I'm going to lay out here tonight and check it out again and see if I can see some more, because I didn't see very many last night. I was too freaked out by the dark, quite frankly. I hadn't brought a flashlight. Anyway, you'll probably hear that in the background. That's motorcycles. Today is Friday the 13th, and in Ontario, there is a thing in Port Dover, Friday the 13th bike rally. So whether or not Friday the 13th falls on, in January or August or whatever, motorcyclists converge upon the city. It's a town, and I think something like 200,000 people show up. It's crazy. I've never gone, and I have no intention of going because it's really psychotically busy, and I don't think they even have enough porta potties for everybody. And you can't even drive into the town anyway. Anyhow, I live close enough to Port Dover that, and I live on a main drag, one of the back roads where people use to get to Port Dover. So it's gonna be a little bit noisy, you might hear, although it is dusky. It's about 8:30 at night. So today's topic is something just that I haven't talked about, I think, on my YouTube channel yet, but it's a huge part of my life. It's about child freedom, or the No Kidding group is sort of how it began. So about 10 years ago, I was with a guy who had 3 kids, and actually prior to that, I'll flash back. When I was in my early 20s, probably 19, 20, I met a woman who kind of changed my life, and I remember I was 19, 20, she was 40, her name was Angela. And I said, do you have any kids? And I thought she was so cool and funky, and I just figured everybody grows up, gets married, and has kids. And she said, no, I never wanted kids. I had my tubes tied when I was 22. And I remember thinking, what? Like, you can't just decide not to have kids. That's crazy talk. It never dawned on me it was a choice. So years passed, and by the time I was about 22, 23, I remember, actually at the time when she told me, I think I was mesmerized by the possibility. Not so much annoyed that she had chosen not to do it, but just mesmerized that it was even an option. And then the more I thought about it, the more I realized, this is what I want. I don't want children. I never wanted children. And I think I just thought I was supposed to have them because that's what you think. Everyone's supposed to have them. So the idea gestated or whatever in my brain. And by the age of 22, I started asking doctors for referrals to get a tubal ligation, and I was declined. They always say you're too young. I love how you're not too young to have a kid, but you're too young to decide not to have a kid. Don't get me started on that. By the age of 26, I was finally with a guy who had 3 kids, and I was living with him, and they were fundamentally my stepchildren. And I remember at that time finally getting a referral to a gynecologist, and I'm hearing creaky noises back there. It's the country. It's like birds and chipmunks and things. I remember finally getting the referral to the gyno, and I had prepared a manifesto to explain why I wanted this tubal, and I had listed, financial reasons and family medical history and my personal medical history, and I just felt like I was really grossly unqualified to be having children. I really don't think most people are qualified to have children. That's my personal opinion. I think you should be every child should have 2 parents who want them, and 2 good parents who are not mentally ill, not alcoholics, not addicts of any sort, can financially support them, want them, love them, etc. So the guy, he actually didn't even want to see my manifesto. He tied my tubes when I was 26, and the rest is history. So when I was about 28, which was 10 years ago, I joined a group called No Kidding, which was at the time a social group founded by a guy in Vancouver for people mostly in their 30s. It seemed to be, people of a certain age kind of one day wake up and realize a lot of their friends have gotten married and have kids, and they don't want to do the things you used to do anymore. They don't want to go camping on a dime. They don't want to get in the car and go, for a road trip somewhere. They just don't, they can't. They don't have a sitter. And so this was just a way to make new friends, quite frankly. And I joined the group, and I've maintained friendships with so many people that I've met through No Kidding. And then I started the International Discussion Board, which over the last 10 years has fractured 2 or 3 times. You know how discussion boards are on the internet, just drama. So we're now called We Kid You Not. That's the name of our group. .org. .com was bought off by this psycho woman who hated our group and wanted to redirect it to her board. Yeah, this was what I was talking about, the fracture. Anyway, WeKidYouNot.org is my discussion board. And I've maintained that discussion board in its various incarnations for coming up on 10 years. And, lots of friends, made tons of friends through it all. And when I went on my road trip in 2008, people always said, did you go by yourself in a van and you drove through like every state and every province, and where did you stay and what the hell? And I stayed with no kidding people, quite frankly. I mean, every state I went to, I would sort of email somebody and say, I'm in your state, yep, for a visit. And of course, child-free people tend to be pretty flunky. They tend to have a spare bedroom. They tend to have time. They tend to have, even if they have a job, it's not like they have soccer practice or something that night with the kids. So they've always, made time and space for me. And I got to meet so many different people, and I had such a good time. But what it boiled down to was just over the years, I'm almost 40 years old. I just turned 38 last week and 2 weeks ago. And I am not married and I don't have children. And that puts me in a very strange spot in life, which is, I want to say, I personally think people are jealous of me. That's what I'm just going to go throw that right out there. But a lot of people are very harshly judgmental of me. And because people think that they had no choice, that you have to get married, you have to have kids. That's what you do. That's what you're supposed to do. And I just think it's hilarious that you didn't realize when I did, luckily at the age of 19, that it is a choice and you didn't have to walk down that path. And even if you got pregnant, you didn't have to go through with the pregnancy. And I mean, not that most people did. Most people chose to have children. And then once they had the children, they chose to maintain a lifestyle where the children were sort of the center of their universe. When we were kids, we weren't the center of our parents' universe. My mom would say, go out and play. And we'd go out and play, and she'd do her own thing inside of my dad. And I mean, most of us in the 70s grew up that way. God, in the 50s, the 40s, the 30s, people grew up, having to do their own thing all the time. I was working by the age of 14. I actually had a volunteer job at the age of 13. I remember I used to walk about 12 blocks to the general hospital to do my candy striper shift. And I mean, these things were totally normal when I was a kid. And nowadays, people drive their kids everywhere and they revolve their lives around their kids and they have no time for themselves. And I think it's quite sad because what do I have? I have nothing but time and not energy. I'm pretty low energy. But I have nothing but time and space and a clear head to do the things that I consider to be important in life. And I have a lot of ambition to change the world, And I always said, the thing with having a child is you have to change that child's life. You have to be part of that child's life. But to change the world, you need a lot more space. You need a lot more time. You can't just devote it all to one person. I have, seeds to sow, and it can't just be focused in one direction. Luckily, I have been very blessed with something. I don't get lonely. I've never felt lonely, ever. And I've lived alone for most of my life. I mean, I lived with Ian for maybe 2 years. I've had roommates on and off, like maybe 3 or 4 years in my life I've had roommates. But predominantly I've lived alone. And I like it that way. I love it that way because I really am very self-entertaining, self-motivated. If I'm bored, I go online, I chat with my friends. I got tons of freaking friends all over the place, online friends. I sometimes think I lack real-life friends, and that's where no kidding came in handy because I did join a social group to make physical friends, to go do things with. Since I moved out to the country, I don't, it's funny because I live very far from, pretty much anyone. So people, it's a trek. It's like an hour trek to come visit me if you want to come visit me. My mom comes every Wednesday, which I'm charmed by. And I had a bonfire here the other night, and it was lovely. But it's a different kind of life. And a lot of people, I think they just think I'm lonely, which cracks me up because nothing could be farther from the truth. Much like I probably think they're frazzled, and they're probably not as frazzled as they think they are, as I think they are. I think a lot of people are, happy parents, although I tend to see the negative. And, being child-free and having a word to name it, like not childless, but child-free, was a very empowering thing. Getting my tubes tied at a young age, knowing that it was never going to be an issue, it was never going to be a worry in my life. Just fantastic. I've had a good life, and I'm very grateful to my friend Angela for introducing me to it. And Angela, of course, died in 2007 of cancer, and she left me the money that enabled me to go on that crazy-ass road trip. So, a lot of what I do is sort of in her honor, and in her, she was a huge inspiration to me. She was my child-free mentor. She was my road tripper mentor. And I like to think the legacy lives on, that when you don't have children, what you have to do is foster good friendships, and you have to be a good person and leave a good legacy behind, no matter what. Impact the people in your life. Okay, I'm coming up on 10 minutes. I'm gonna just to show you quickly my little backyard. There's the remnants of my bonfire from the other night. There's the soybean field. And there's the gorgeous sunset. Well, it's gone now. The sun's gone. Can you see the crescent moon? No, you can't see it because tonight is the meteor shower and I'm going to go out and enjoy that. Okay, take it easy.